Joe the Shirt is once again and always off the cuff. Welcome. Oh, boy, I'm pumping out shows like crazy here in September. September's my month. It's my birthday month, all right? It's my month. I'm doing it, man. Thank you for listening. I am Joe the Shirt, and this is Off the Cuff. Today's music is brought to you by White Room. That was their first song, Play It As It Lies. Had a little jazzy, little bluesy kind of effect to it. You know, not too bad. But let's see what the rest of their songs are like. Because a lot of times you and I both know they suck. So, you know, you gotta deal with that. Okay, we're talking today about the nature of evil. Because this has always been a very fascinating topic to me, because people are often wondering, what is the true nature of man? Is the true nature of man to be good? Is the true nature of man to be evil? You know, are some people innately evil? Are some people innately good? Are there just people that are just born good, or people that are just born sadistic serial killers? You know, evil. You know, and that's always been a very interesting question to me. But I think I have an answer that answers both questions. You know, are people born innately good or innately evil? I think people are born with their best interest in mind. That's what I truly believe. And that's neither good nor evil. All right? There's nothing wrong with having your own best interest in mind. It is an incredibly natural way to be. The vast majority of the animal kingdom survive by putting themselves ahead of others. Okay? They you know what? They kill to eat. You know, they fight to mate. You know, they decide that, you know what, it's more important for me than it is for you to survive. That's what a natural being does. That's what a natural animal does. We're the only dumbasses that go around pondering, am I a good person or am I a bad person? You know what? I don't think that those terms apply to human beings. You know, you can do something that's considered good, you can do something that's considered evil, but I don't think that any individual, by definition, is either good or evil. I think that many times good people do evil things, and there have been instances where evil people have done good things. You know, it happens. You know, I don't think you should be defined that way. You know, I mean, yes, I think you should be punished or rewarded, absolutely, but a definition, yeah, not so much. You know, because there are many people that believe that just because you've done a lot of good things in your life doesn't mean that erases or negates all the bad things you've done in your life. You know? I mean, let's say you developed a cure for cancer. Now, millions of people across the globe, every cancer possible, they're being saved from pancreatic cancer, from cancer of the liver, from skin cancer, from lung cancer, every cancer on the planet. You came up with the cure for every form of cancer, and it's cheap and it's effective, and you can get it to anybody, and you know you can get it online. You can get cured for cancer online. That's how good your cure for cancer is. But if you say, I don't know, experimented on about 100 people to get the result that you wanted, the cure for cancer, and these 100 people died in the process, you know, and they were unwilling participants, do the ends justify the means? And it's like, yeah, I killed 100 people, but I found the ultimate cure for cancer. Nobody will ever have to die of cancer ever again. Does the fact that you're saving millions of lives negate the fact that you killed 100 others? Which one would you be willing to put up with? You tell me. I mean, do you really think it's not worth it to off 100 people so that millions more can live? That's actually a philosophy question that I got when I was in college. It's like, let's look at the pros and the cons here. You know, can you really say that killing 100 people isn't worth saving millions of lives? Is it evil to do that? Is it wrong? Is it immoral? Is it unethical? One of the things that my girlfriend hates, and my ex-wife hated it as well, and every other ex I've ever had, is that one of the things I've always said about myself is that I'm a liar, I'm a cheat, and I'm a thief. All those things are true. 100% true. Even the lying part. And then if you were to pose the question to me, do I think of myself as a good person or a bad person? And the most honest answer I can give you is, I don't think of myself as a good person. I really don't. Because I've done some pretty evil shit. I've done some things that some people are never, ever going to forgive me for. But at the same time, I don't think of myself as a bad person. I really don't, because I know that I have affected to positive affect the lives of many people. Whether it's, the $5 I gave a bum, or the blood I donated, which I don't do, by the way. I'm just saying that out there. Or helping my buddy in a fight, or calling the cops on a wife abuser. I've done a lot of good things in my life, but I don't. By that same token, I don't think of myself as a good person. I don't think of myself as a bad person. I tend to do the things that benefit me the most. And I know that sounds selfish, but you guys have to understand that selfish in and of itself is not a bad thing. Selfish can be very good for you. Selfish is what has kept us alive through the centuries, through the millennia. I'm not saying you shouldn't give to others, you shouldn't help others out. But you know what? If you can't help yourself, you can't help others. That's why they always tell you on the airplane, if we lose cabin pressure, put your mask on first, then help the child. Because if you try to help the child, there's a good chance you're going to run out of air before you can get to your mask. And then what's the kid going to do? Lift your big heavy ass and put the mask on you? No. He's going to be going, boy, mommy's fucked. Nature of evil. One of the reasons I bring this up is because on the last show I was talking about a group of people in Afghanistan, a group of women accompanied by their male companions, who were attacked at gunpoint by a group of 7 men. The men were robbed, beaten, tied up. The women were raped by all 7 men. And the guys were caught, they were tried, they were found guilty, and they were sentenced to death. But not one of them got a rape conviction. Not one. Assault, battery, kidnapping, theft, embarrassing the male companions. That's a crime. Did you guys know that? It's a crime to make a guy feel bad because he couldn't defend his female relatives. That's a crime. And that's what they were convicted for that. But they were not convicted for the act of rape, for the crime of rape. Rape has only been a crime in Afghanistan since 2009. That's it. 4 or 5 years ago. That's it, man. So up until recently, nobody thought of it as a big deal. And now you have your whole ISIS and ISIL and the Islamic State and people going around kidnapping young girls and selling them into sex slavery. And what's really one of the most amazing things about this, and I know I talked about this last time, but I'm going to reiterate it because I think it is worth remembering, is the fact that when a young girl, as young as 10 years old, which is a part of the story that I talked about last time, is raped by her school teacher, he doesn't go to jail. You know what he does? He offers to marry her. You know why? So that way her family won't be embarrassed by the fact that she made him rape her. That's what they come up with. Many girls end up killing themselves. Many girls end up disappearing entirely. And And it's ridiculous. But here's the thing. None of these guys that do these things can think of themselves as evil. Just as none of the guys that are like in charge of making sure these things don't happen, or if they do happen, they get prosecuted for it. None of them really think that what they did was wrong. You know, of course you raped her. Look at her. She's 10 years old. You can see her ankles, and I heard her giggling. I mentioned that because it is against the law for women in a lot of these countries to laugh out loud in public. It's against the law. And they have morality police in a lot of these countries where if they see a woman unaccompanied by a male relative, it is perfectly within their rights to go run up to her and beat her because she doesn't have a male companion. If they see her laughing, they can beat her with sticks. If they see her dancing, they can beat her with sticks. If they see her talking to a male that she is not related to and is not her husband, they can beat her with sticks. And they think they're doing the will of God. They think they're doing the will of Allah. You know, they don't think that they're doing anything wrong. They think that this is what God wants. Women are having fun and enjoying themselves. Let's beat them. You know, this is the same thought process that propagates the idea of female circumcision. You know, I understand male circumcision to a point. You know, I'm circumcised. For all you ladies out there that wanted to know. You know, but a lot of rituals, a lot of things that people do in religion come from very pragmatic, practical applications. The reason that, you know, circumcision came to be was because, you know, kids were getting infections. People were getting infections because they had this schmegma underneath their foreskin, which was a lubricating thing that came from the membrane of the foreskin, and it was meant to protect and keep the penis lubricated and ready to fuck, basically. But guys were ignorant as to how to clean it properly. This is not an issue these days. These days, lots of guys go uncircumcised. They know how to wash their dicks now. Wow, soap and water. What a fantastic idea. But back then, they didn't know, so they figured God must want us to cut off the foreskin so that it can be cleaned properly, you know, without having to go through the whole hassle of pulling back a foreskin, you know. And it made sense. It's right up there with why a lot of Jews, Muslims don't eat oysters or shellfish, because they tend to go bad really, really fast, and they tend to make you sick and make you die. They didn't have refrigeration back then. Same thing applies to pork. You know, pork tends to go bad really, really fast if you don't refrigerate it, if you don't cure it in some way. So they said, okay, no pork, no shellfish, because God doesn't want you to eat it. No, it's not that God didn't want you to eat it. It's that nobody told you guys that, you know, there are germs and viruses and bacteria in these things that will kill you if you don't, you know, eat them immediately or refrigerate them or preserve them in some way. But female circumcision, unlike male circumcision, does not have this particular benefit. There is absolutely 100% no physiological benefit to female circumcision. And on that note, we're going to take a break because we got more to talk about. Here's more White Room and their song Simple Mood. I'm Joe the Shirt. I'm off the cuff, and I'll be right back.
What a peculiar place to have a party.
You even made me
Joe the shirt is once again off the cuff. Welcome back. That was sad and depressing. What is wrong with these people? Seriously. Excuse me. All right. We were talking about female circumcision and why this came about. Now, coming from the people that came up with it, it's not an evil thing. It's a good thing. It's to ensure that a woman stays chaste, faithful, loyal, and, is a good wife. That's called bullshit. What it's actually intended to do is to make sure that a woman does not enjoy sex. That's its one and only true function. So that a woman can enjoy the pleasures of masturbation. She can enjoy the pleasures of some guy finger banging her. She can enjoy the pleasures of some guy going down on her. And she certainly can enjoy of the pressure of a man on top of her rubbing his body up against her clit. Because that's what female circumcision is. Female circumcision is the removal of the hood and clitoris. They just take it off for the sole purpose of making sure that she doesn't enjoy sex. And if she can't enjoy sex, well, the thought process is, well, then she won't cheat on her husband. She won't be unfaithful. She won't play with herself. She'll never be able to enjoy sex at all in that way. And in case things have changed in the last, 40 or so years, last time I checked, the vast majority of women do not have orgasms vaginally. They have orgasms clitorally. Obviously, lots of women have vaginal orgasms, but more often than not, if a woman's getting off, it's because she's putting a tickle in her nickel, all right? So, I say, do you believe that you're evil? Hitler didn't think he was evil. He thought he was doing the world a good thing. Get rid of all the Jews. Obviously, it made perfect sense to him. Obviously, the world's all fucked up because of the Jews. Ku Klux Klan doesn't think they're doing anything wrong. Everything's all fucked up because of black people. Obvious. I mean, who does not see that? I've got a couple stories I want to talk about here. One of them being, this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about personal responsibility. But before I do that, I actually want to get into another one. Yesterday, the country known as Scotland, part of the United Kingdom, the British Empire, had a referendum. They had a vote to decide whether or not to secede from the United Kingdom, whether or not they were going to be British anymore. They have now been part of the United Kingdom, Britain as it were, for the last 307 years. All of you that really enjoyed jerking off while watching Braveheart, sorry, it still didn't happen. By a vote of I think it was 60 to 40% or 65-35%, most Scots voted to remain a part of the United Kingdom. They decided to stay. They didn't want to leave. And I think that was a good idea. Because, Scotland's got a nice amount of landmass, but they have a very small population. I think their population is about 5 or 6 million. What I find very impressive about Scotland is that they have a very high voter turnout and high amount of registered voters. 80% of Scottish people are registered voters in Scotland. That's pretty impressive. I mean, in this country, you're lucky if you get 30 or 40%. And here in the U.S. But in Scotland, they take their voting shit seriously, man. People were showing up at the polls hours before they opened up because they wanted to make sure that their voices were heard. And I think the current Prime Minister was supporting the idea of Scotland staying with the United Kingdom, which benefits him as Prime Minister. But also because I do believe, I may be wrong on this, but I do believe he's actually Scottish in origin. So it's So it's not like the Scottish are being oppressed, okay? The Scottish are able to become, prime minister. I think you're okay. I mean, mind you, that doesn't apply everywhere. Here in this country, just because the president's black doesn't mean that American blacks have it easy. All right, that's not necessarily true. But we all have a say in how things are done. So I personally am glad Scotland is staying with the United Kingdom. I truly am. Okay, here's one. This is a story I've been wanting to talk about for like months. Weeks. Let's say weeks. There's a gentleman known as Alex Jackson, who owned a bunch of pit bulls. He was convicted Friday of a couple of weeks ago of second-degree murder in the grisly mauling last year of a woman who was attacked by 4 pit bulls in the Antelope Valley town of Little Rock. The Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office contended that Alex Jackson, 31 years old, deserved to be found guilty of murder because he knew his dogs were dangerous before the May 2013 attack on Pamela Devitt. Devitt, 63, was out for a morning walk when the dogs attacked, tearing her body, limbs, and head. Jurors were told that nearly all of Devitt's hair was gone and her skull exposed in the attack. An autopsy determined that she suffered as many as 200 puncture wounds. Patches of her skin were missing, and some of her wounds were so deep they exposed bone. Coroner's officials determined Devitt died from blood loss. Well, yeah, duh. Now, what you guys have to understand here is that fatal dog attacks are pretty rare in the United States. There really are. It doesn't really happen anywhere much as, the news would like you to believe it is. You watch the news, they make it sound as if there's a pit bull attacking an old lady or an infant every other fucking day, and it's really just not true. But they want you to believe that. Now, what I find interesting about this is he really guilty of murder here? Because, by my definition of murder requires intent. Sometimes if you're doing murder one, it demands a plan or a very specific target, high-level target. For instance, murder one is often, when it comes to convictions, is reserved for anybody that kills a cop. They usually go for murder one because you knew you were killing a cop. Cop is a peace enforcer, and it's a bad idea. But is he truly responsible for this? Now, I'm the first one to admit that, that your dogs have a temper. You got to keep them gated up. You got to keep them on your property. You got to keep them chained, put a big chain link fence around your house, whatever it is that you need to do to keep them. You know what? I understand. You know what? I work at a dog rescue, and not all dogs can be reformed. A lot of people will disagree with that, but I'm telling you right now, I have met some dogs that will never, ever be reformed. They will never trust human beings. They will always be violent to other dogs. They will always, attack human beings. You're not going to reform them. It's never going to happen. People like to say that there's no such thing as a bad dog. I'm like, well, there's definitely such a thing as a damaged dogs. Damaged to the point that they cannot be salvaged. So if you have one of those type of dogs, or in this case several, you got to make sure that you control them, that they are kept within the confines of your property, and anybody that is looking to come onto your property put up signs, let vicious dog on property, which is a law in most states. They know you're not supposed to go in there. It's a bad idea. But is he really responsible for murder? I don't know. Manslaughter, maybe. Negligent homicide. Because the reason I bring this up is because I was talking not too long ago about the 9-year-old that shot her gun instructor with an Uzi. 9-year-old. think it was a 9-year-old girl actually, who was getting lessons in how to use firearms, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think if you know that you're going to have firearms in your house and you have children, it's a good idea that your children know, proper gun safety. But how many of you are keeping Uzis in your house? I'm just saying. Okay, you got a couple of hunting rifles? Fine. Got a 38, a 45? Fine. You have an AK-47, an Uzi? Why? Why do you need assault weapons in your house with a 9-year-old? The kid is not being brought up on charges, I mean, if it was like an adult, they might be brought up on negligent homicide, manslaughter, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. But this was a kid. Now, as an adult, I mean, it is reasonable, I think, for somebody to say that as an adult, that that a 9-year-old is not mentally or physically capable of handling an Uzi. As an adult, that 4 or 5 of your pit bulls running around the neighborhood off leash and unaccompanied by you is dangerous. When your 9-year-old shoots somebody or your pit bulls attack somebody, why is it you're responsible for your pit bulls, but you're not responsible for your 9-year-old? Now, I know in the case of the 9-year-old and Uzi, it was a very different environment. It was a controlled environment, they thought, But it's like I said the other week. It's like, don't give a 9-year-old an Uzi. Don't let your dogs off leash. It's very simple. Now, among the more famous dog attacks in the United States, 1987, we have Michael Berry from Morgan Hill, California, owner of a pit bull terrier that killed 2-year-old James Soto, who wandered into his yard. Authorities said the dog was protecting a patch of marijuana. Found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. 1992, Jeffrey Mann, Cleveland, accused of ordering his pit bull to attack his live-in girlfriend at their home. Experts said the bite wounds on Angela Kaplan showed evidence of reluctance and a response to repeated commands. Convicted of second-degree murder. Araceli Garcia, Pomona, mother of 2, whose newborn was mauled by pit bulls after she tossed him over a fence into a neighbor's yard. The baby suffered 3 separate skull fractures and a puncture wound to the heart. Convicted of second-degree murder. I don't know. There's that. See, these are very, very particular incidences here. Here, in one case, a dog was ordered to attack somebody, and apparently in his bite attack, expressed reluctance to do so. In this case, some woman threw her newborn son over the fence, knowing that there were pit bulls over the side, and was killed. See, there I understand. That makes sense. You were convicted of murder because you knowingly did something to cause the death of another. But in Alex Jackson's case, I'm not seeing it. Negligent homicide, manslaughter, but murder? I don't know. It really goes to, where do we stop? Where do we draw the line at what responsibility is? I mean, okay, yes. Did he know that his dogs were violent? Yes. Did he believe at any point that letting his dogs run around the neighborhood would endanger others? Probably not. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't have done it. Or maybe he didn't care. Maybe he was an asshole. Who knows? But it's very difficult for them to convince me that this was murder. And on that note, we're taking a break. Amazingly enough. We're going to take a break now with more music from White Room and their song, let's see, Barcelona? Let's try that one. Or did I try that one already? Maybe it's Papillons. Let's try Barcelona. I'm Joe the Shirt. I'm off the cuff, and I'll be right back.
The walk that leads through sunshine isn't far, and you should know. I've packed my bags, goodbye to family and friends. all is well, we should meet again, because the money, it just don't matter. If I have to, I'd spend it all for midnight drinking by the port, a cigarette in the early morning. And if you want these things, they're not just dreams, come and ring my doorbell. 'Cause we both know that life's too short, so let's send them all to hell.
And Joe the Shirt is off the cuff. Oh my God. Ugh. Talking a little bit about the nature of evil. One of the things, I know it seems like we've gone off topic quite a bit, but one of the things I was thinking about was, because the other week I did a couple shows on serial killers. And the vast majority of people, I think, would agree that serial killers are just evil. They enjoy doing wrong. They enjoy doing evil things. I think that's the definition of evil, is, for me anyway, is that evil is when you do something bad, wrong, morally reprehensible, unethical, and you get joy out of it. You enjoy it so much. It puts a smile on your face to rape somebody, to kill somebody, to flay somebody. That, I think, is the true nature of evil, that you know that you are causing suffering to others and you get off on it. It makes your dick hard. It makes your pussy wet. That is the nature of evil. When you do something bad and you feel, not only do you not feel guilt, but you feel pleasure from it. Because let's face facts, a soldier kills people. Vast majority of soldiers that I've heard about that have killed people don't feel good about it. They feel guilt. They feel shame. You know, they understand the necessity for it, but at the same time, they don't get any pleasure out of it. Okay? A police officer, shoots and kills a suspect in the act of a crime, in the defense of a potential victim. And there's a reason that police officers are put on desk duty after shooting somebody, after firing their weapon at all, because there are psychological scars for the vast majority of us that do things that require taking the life of another. And apparently serial killers don't have this problem. Murderers do have this problem. The vast majority of murderers usually know who they're killing, usually a friend, a relative, a spouse. They care about the person they're killing. They may even love them. So they do feel guilt. They don't feel pleasure out of it more often than not. Okay? Which leads me to the question here, what is worse, rape or murder? Because when you murder somebody, let's say, let's make it simple. You're pissed off at your boss, and one night when you follow him home, and as he's getting out of his car, you shoot him in the head and run off. He's dead. Okay. But when you rape somebody, it's not just simply the physical act that you're doing. It's also the mental and emotional scarring you're leaving behind. And depending on what type of culture you live in, it can be worse than others. I was never raped. I was slightly sexually molested when I was a kid. I went to go see the movie Splash. I think I was 12 years old. And I went by myself on the weekend, during the day. Felt safe enough. And I was seeing Splash. And some guy sits next to me and tells me that he has a gun, and that if I do anything that he doesn't want him to do, he was going to shoot and kill me. That's what he tells me. I'm 12 years old. This guy is about 6'1", 6'2", skinny black guy with a goatee. Now, a lot of you may be thinking, well, Joe, you didn't have to tell us he was black. I'm like, yes, I did. I did have to tell you he was black. You know why? Because he was black. I'm giving you a full story here. You know? Like if I decided to report this to the police, first thing they'd ask me is, well, what did he look like? Well, he was tall, had a goatee, really skinny. Was he black, white, Chinese? What am I going to do? Say, I don't see how that makes a difference. Yeah, it does. We're trying to identify something here. A lot of people will tell you that, when it comes to rape is a crime, not of sex, but of power. It's a crime of violence, domination, degradation. Which is why they talk about how so many, when it comes to men in prison, forcing sex on other men, anal sex, that it's not because they want to enjoy having sex with men. It's because they want to dominate other men and establish their control and power in prison. And I'm like, well, you can probably do that without fucking another man in the ass or having him suck your cock or, give you a rim job. You can probably do that without all that right there. But it's considered, by men the ultimate form of domination. But not necessarily in the animal kingdom. In the animal kingdom, sometimes males of a particular group will engage in homosexual sex with each other, not as a part of domination, but as bonding. They're letting each other know that, hey, I think of you in such high regard. I love you so much that I want you to fuck me in the ass. Or, you know what, I want to blow you. You know what, I love you so, I want to blow you. And that is not completely uncommon in the animal kingdom. It's not uncommon in the human kingdom, They're gay men and women, They have sex with each other, consensually. So it's not a homosexual thing. But I think I'd be remiss to say that it's not a sexual thing. I mean, like I said, you can dominate anybody without ever sticking your dick inside them. It's possible, all right? Does that make that person evil, though, when they do it, when they force themselves upon you? Are they being evil, or are they acting out of what they think is a perfectly logical conclusion to their thought process? Whether it's to dominate you or whether it's to propagate the species, maybe they want children. That is a theory that has been thrown around, by the way, that rape is quite possibly the result of men wanting to reproduce, to keep their line going, to keep their genes going, because they could not convince females to have sex with them willingly, that they turned to forcing them to do it as a way of propagating. Now, I'll tell you right now, there's not a single feminist on the planet that's going to swallow that one, or anything for that matter. But but on some level, look, I'm not saying that it's right, but it makes sense to a certain point. I'm not saying that men should rape women just to make sure that their bloodline goes on. That's wrong. I don't think they should do that. I think that if you're going to have sex with a woman, make sure it's willing, and then that way she can be disappointed and angry all on her own without you having to, force yourself upon her. And believe me, she most likely will be. The nature of evil. Here's a little side story here. Not too long ago in Thousand Oaks, an albino cobra escaped after biting its owner. Now, I don't know why you would want a cobra as a pet. I know there's some nutcases out there that feel that, these bizarre, exotic, dangerous pets, they're interesting, they're hot, they're cool, they're whatever. They are killing you. There's one guy, man, he had his albino cobra. I don't know why he needed to be an albino. I don't know, maybe that's hotter. But the damn thing, he was handling it one day, and the damn thing bit him. And at first, he didn't feel anything. He said that, well, I thought maybe he was defanged because I didn't feel anything. And then about 10 minutes later, he's on the floor, convulsing and spitting. So good news is he survived. Bad news is he's probably getting sued. Good news is the cobra was found alive and well and taken to the Los Angeles Zoo. Another story here. U.S. obesity rates are finally holding steady. What this means is, for the first time in God knows how long, we are not getting fatter here in the United States. We're not. The United States is no longer getting fat as a whole. There are a few states, however, that are still getting fatter. Only a few, though. See, Alaska, Delaware, Idaho, New Jersey, Tennessee, and Wyoming are still getting fatter. But every other state in the union has stopped getting fatter. Now, mind you, they're not getting thinner. That's not happening yet. But for the first time in forever, I think since 2005, we're not getting fatter. Because back in 2005, 49 out of 50 states saw year-over-year increases in their rates of obesity. But here in 2013, but now here in 2014, by the 2013 survey, we're not getting fatter. We've stopped getting fatter. Now, as for the highest obesity rates in adults, Mississippi and West Virginia were tied with 35.1% in adult population of a BMI, body mass index, of above 30. Obesity rates remained higher for African Americans and Latinos nationwide. Nearly 48% of African Americans and 42.5% of Latino adults were obese in 2011 through 2012, compared with a slightly less than 33% for whites. There we go. Mind you, though, that's probably still nothing compared to the obesity rates for Asians, which is, I think, 0. I don't remember the last time I saw a fat Chinese guy. Obviously, I know there are fat Chinese guys, Vietnamese and Korean guys, but you don't really see that many. And finally, so we have like a minute left. Here we go. Quick story from Yahoo. Yahoo.com says that the government issued a threat. Yahoo said the government threatened to fine it $250,000 a day if it did not comply with demands to go along with an expansion of U.S. surveillance by surrendering online information, a step the company regarded as unconstitutional. The outlines of Yahoo's secret and ultimate unsuccessful court fight against government surveillance emerged when a federal judge on Thursday ordered the unsealing of some material about Yahoo's court challenge. In a statement, Yahoo said the government amended a law to demand user information from online services, prompting a challenge in 2007 during the Bush administration. Quote, "Our challenge and a later appeal in the case did not succeed," Yahoo General Counsel Ron Bell said in a statement. So the government is coercing Yahoo.com to give information on its users, probably a lot of you, just like me, about our personal information, get in on it, and use it to their own ends. Land of the free, home of the brave. Land of the free, home of the brave. And in case that is my time, our last song from White Room is called Puppeteering. I'm Joe the Shirt, and I've been off the cuff.